Create upon my flesh.
There's no looking for crowd validation. There's no waiting for outside redemption. There's no collective bargaining to rely on. The awakening is you. Only you. That's what all this is about. The battle for your spirit and soul. There is nothing more important in this life for you or me than waking up. Once that's straightened out, the rest will follow.
Take my freedom. Let my freedom. Let my freedom. Take my freedom.
How we perceive the world around us creates and reinforces the world around us. Once we become conscious and aware that this existing matrix we're witnessing is an arbitrary creation manipulated by power-crazed puppeteers, that is when the change happens. And the universe will tell you what to do from there. That's what you respond to. Nothing else. That's your job. That's my job. Don't shirk it. Enjoy your earthly suit, but rediscover who you truly are. We judge so much by how we think it will measure up to the world around us, rather than just express what we're thinking and feeling openly.
Take my freedom. Let my freedom.
Whether with close friends and family,
Let my freedom.
your peer group, or the message we pick up in public, we're being programmed.
Take my freedom. Give me.
Programmed to not respond to obvious needs, but to strange, shallow, self-serving impulses, just like everyone else. Who's looking when you're sleepwalking? But there's a price to pay. Everything. Waking up costs everything. So what? What are you saving up for? Aren't you paying that price anyway, even if you're not waking up? Life always costs everything. You'll leave here eventually, like me, and the cost will be your life. How did you spend it? Consciously? Or trying to conform and using that to hide behind? to justify living as a comfortable, selfish, lazy brain donor to the system. That's the battlefield. You, me. It goes no further. The only thing is, for conscious, spiritual reality, there is no predator. That's the secret. We are eternal consciousness having an experience. We individually have to change first. We have to commit to consciousness, get free of entanglement, and live a conscious life. The rest has little meaning until we get out of the matrix. It's you. It's me. Your personal world and experience is the only one you'll ever know. Just let consciousness be your guide, but act on it. Don't let them take your freedom.
Good evening, everybody. Today's date is March the 18th, 2021. My name's Christopher James. It's a pleasure, and I'm truly humbled to be here with everyone this evening. I hope everyone has had a very good week, a restful week, and people are trying to get back to normal, not letting all this theater get to them. It's obviously an ongoing battle. They are in for the long game for all of this, and we must also step up to the plate and arm ourselves with the correct consciousness and knowledge, as we do and share here every week. And tonight I have a really special man that's on here with me, Alfonso Fagiola, a wonderful man out of the United States who also does the same efforts and actions that I do. He's a wonderful man, and we'll be bringing him on here shortly. But first I want to give a couple of thanks to Claudia Klee and also France Penner for your wonderful support at this time. It's much appreciated. And I just want to let everybody kind of know something that I've spoke to this before in the past, and I was speaking with Alphonse about this earlier, is that, both of us, we get inundated with an enormous amount of emails. People, I woke up today and I had 45 people, begging me, asking me for help and what they're doing and what's going on in their world. And you have to understand is that the best way that I can help everybody right now is I got my dance cards full, so to speak, with all the casework that I've got ongoing at this moment. And in the next near future, like I said, the rubber's really starting to hit the road now. We're going to go over a document that I spoke to at the beginning of last night's show that I could not share with everybody, but I've got it redacted now, and I'm going to be going over that. I think Alphonse will have a good laugh with it as well. I sent it to him earlier, so he had a good chuckle about it. But I just wanted to say to everybody, you need to understand that I'm only one man. I'm doing all that I can right now. My focus is on this rules of civil procedure and getting this knocked out. And once we can do that, then that is going to open up our court systems and do a hard reset right across the board for all of us in this world, where we will be able to hold people accountable, where we will be able to seek remedy and seek it very quickly. I had for example, just to give you an example here, I'll just do a quick screen share here. So, yeah, that's it. So I just wanted to show you this, is that this is just an email that came into me the other day. It just goes to show how the legal world operates. A cancer lawsuit that was filed in 2001. It's finally going to trial. This is the problem that we have. This is why you need to understand, as I'm sure we're going to get into tonight, we talk about that the bar is a completely convoluted society. Their system is set up to basically drag things out as long as they possibly can, provide options for that man or woman that's acting as an attorney to basically, through options, appeals, motions, to basically drag it out in all ways possible. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it drains the people that are involved in it, sometimes destroying them most of the time. And at the end of the day, there's usually a deal that gets hammered out that could have been done before they even had to go to court to begin with. So I just wanted to share that with you. It's pretty disturbing, but at least it's happening. It's moving forward here. It is a very big lawsuit, obviously, with the cell phone industry. So it should be interesting. And the defendants are Sprint, AT&T, T-Mobile, Bell South, Bell Atlantic, Motorola, Qualcomm, Samsung, Sony, a whole bunch of them. So that's going to be a really good lawsuit to see it come to fruition, and hopefully we will see some justice that goes on there. But I wouldn't hold my wouldn't hold my breath on it. Anyways, guys, I just wanted to again say to everybody, I try and do everything I can to help people. I try and respond to everybody, but you just have to know that we're under a lot of pressure here at my end, and to get to keeping these cases on the track, so to speak, moving forward. I've got at least 6 of them now that are moving ahead, and I'll start to bring a few of them more to your attention as we move forward here. And in that moment, once these all gel, and like I said, the police are going to wake up, I have every full faith that that's going to happen in the near future. And when that does, that's when this is all going to change for all of us. So never give up the hope, okay? And on that note, I would just like to bring another incredible light and hope forward. Alphonse, you're here with us this evening, my son, brother?
Hey, Chris, how you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great, brother. Let me just give you the big screen here, because people look at my mug all the time. For people that don't know who, I got to take mine down here. There we go. Beautiful. So, Alphonse, do you want to just give everyone an introduction to who you are? Because just so everybody knows, Alphonse was brought to my attention. Oh, here we go already. Oh, that was Alfonso's. Oh, that was my camera that went. Well, anyways, Alphonse was brought to my attention through multiple people over the last couple of months. And it was a real refreshing thing for me to actually see this man doing what he's doing in the United States. He does exactly the same, commitment to helping his fellow man that I do. He doesn't charge anybody for his time. He's a heart of gold. He's in the trenches. He's fighting with everybody. And we're going to get into this tonight because, it's time that we came together. Both of us, what we're doing here in this world, and there's other people in other countries. Now is the time for us to start to come together, start to work on proper and very powerful paperwork that we can really provide to our fellow man and women to start moving these claims in courts forward in every capacity to hold the society, the system, which is our enemy that we're fighting amongst all this COVID-19 stuff, is the bar. So do you want to just tell everyone a little bit about yourself there, Alphonse, and give us a background and where you came to, and then we'll talk obviously about our common background as well in the music and entertainment industry.
Sure. Just a little disclaimer, like you were mentioning with the emails. Listen, I'm sure Chris is getting the same thing. I mean, throughout the course of a day, I might get 200 emails. And I did the calculation. If I spent just 5 minutes on each email, which is nothing, you're talking about 16 hours a day. And a lot of things that people write to you, they're little books. I mean, they're like 5-10 pages. And it's just impossible just to even go through something like that. So it's not that we're ignoring you or we don't care about your situation, but it comes down to, do you help a few or do you help the many? And I think Chris is he's on the same lines I'm basically, where I think the biggest problem with all this is the Bar Association. It's not just your government. Your government people they're button pushers. So it's not just that's the bar. So I just want to get that out first. Listen, we're not ignoring you. We do care about your situation, but it's just there's only so much that each one of us can do. But yeah, my background. It's funny. We'll get into Chris and I both came from the music industry. I came from music. I'm in music production, music producing. Yeah, Chris and I basically come from very similar backgrounds. I was a music producer and recording engineer in the music industry for about 30 years. And like Chris, I'm sure we've seen the same thing. We've seen when everything started getting, hard drives started handling more data and memory started getting cheaper. We've seen everything go from these multi-million-dollar studios that were going to collapse. We had one of the first 32-track digital machines in the country, Chris. We had the Mitsubishi X32. Okay, we had 2 of them. I think at the time they were each $250,000 each. So $1,000 just the machines, okay? Well, my God, I think you could dwarf that with a $500 computer today. Yeah. And so the writing was on the wall that we were going to see the music industry collapse. It was just a matter of time. We started doing jobs in the music industry where we had big albums, and the producers would come in and they had budgets. And if they could bring the job in under their budget, they could keep the difference. So they started going to these $50, $60 an hour studios and cutting the basic tracks. And then they would come to us and just do the lead vocals in the mix. Yeah. And, me and the owner's son, Mike Tarsia, Joe Tarsia is actually, if you ever heard of The Sound of Philadelphia, it's a pretty well-known tag, that The Sound of Philadelphia. That's Joe Tarsia. He's the engineer that did all that. But we just looked at everything and we just seen the writing on the wall. We knew this was coming down. Okay, this was not going to last. This was coming down. But so the law stuff, it's funny. Me and my mom were sitting there having dinner one night, and the TV's on, the news is on, and everything's about regulation, whether it's guns or whether it's something else. There's just regulation after regulation they were coming with. And I just looked at my mom and I said, well, when did we give our rights away? How did this happen? When did we agree to all this? So that sort of led me down to the path of like, let me figure this out, because like Chris, engineers are inquisitive. We want to figure out how things work. So let me start taking what I know and let me see what I can figure out here, because we're both good at. I mean, engineers are very good at reading manuals and stuff, and and troubleshooting. So I said, let me try and see if I can take those skills and put it over here. And I start learning from Bill Thornton. I'm sure you're familiar with Bill. A lot of Commonwealth stuff from Bill. Carl Lentz. I went through a ton of Carl stuff.
Yep.
That Carl stuff sort of unwound my mind. He got me to thinking, that the three dimensions, like he would say, okay, that, these are fictions. These are not real, okay? And once I started getting that, it started to sort of come together and make sense. And there's some other people that I learned a lot of stuff off of. But like anything, Chris will tell you, you got to get punched in the face to get into this game, okay? And I had a lawsuit. Well, my mom passed away in 2019, and I had a sewer bill come due. Not a sewer bill, let's put it this way. An extortion bill from the sewer company came due. And she had just passed away, and I didn't feel like fighting with anybody at this time. I just was going to pay the thing and be done with it. So I go to log on the site, and I can't get in. My username's not working. My password's not working. And after getting a little aggravated, I said, you know what? I'm going to take what I learned in the jurisdictionary course, something Thornton recommended taking, and I'm going to see if I can knock this sewer extortion bill out. So I did everything textbook, followed the jurisdictionary course, textbook, filed motions. And I soon learned that motions are not for men. Okay?
Yeah.
Men don't file motions. Attorneys file motions. And if anyone's not sure what a motion is, a motion, you got to move a court. When there's a court proceeding going on, you got to move the court. And that's how attorneys move courts, through the motions. Well, motions come under judges. Okay, so a judge can deny a motion anytime he wants. So, he got me. So I filed 7 motions into this suit. They were textbook motions. They should have got the case thrown out. But of course, he did what the judge is going to do all the time. He's going to side with the other attorney. I said, geez, it's a rigged game here. I can't win. I can't get any footing in this game right here. So I said, let me try something new. I learned about affidavits, and I know you and I have a little difference on affidavits, but I said, let me try something. Let me file affidavits against the company and against the attorney. Let me get them in default, and I did. I filed affidavits against them, and of course they never answer affidavits. The attorneys don't answer affidavits, and the company never answers affidavits. They always default. So I said, great. I just wanted to get the affidavit on the court docket. I didn't even ask. I didn't motion the court to do anything. I just took the affidavit that they defaulted on, and I just filed it into the court docket. Well, the attorney got so nervous, he answered my filing of the affidavit. It didn't need a response. It was just a clerical thing. I wanted it on the record. But when he did that, I read his pleading, and that's what lawyers do. Lawyers plead. When you hear pleadings, lawyers plead with the judge to do things for them. Men don't. I said, to me, men file affidavits and give judge orders. Here's what you need to do, my man. Here's your duty. I'm stating it in affidavit. I'm willing to go to jail for this. Lawyers will never do that. Everything's a pleading. So when I read his pleading, he was so worried I was going to get a default judgment. And he kept saying, Chris, he said, this doesn't meet the rules of civil procedure. Mr. Fagioli's not following the rules of civil procedure. So he hit that about 10 times. And he was worried that I was going to get a default judgment. I said, he just showed me his hand. So what I did is I did file a motion in this case, but I supported it with an affidavit, the unrebutted affidavits. Hey, Mr. Judge, this matter's been settled in the private. Look, I got 2 unrebutted affidavits from Mr. Attorney, and I don't know who the sewer authority is. They never responded. Nobody stepped up to respond. I'm going to need you to give me a default judgment here. And oh, by the way, I'm going to need you to give me $5,000 for my time invested in this. And oh, by the way, here's a second order. I need to take Mr. Attorney, and here's all the crimes he committed, the state and federal crimes he committed. Sir, you're an officer of the court. When crimes are brought to your attention, you have a duty and obligation to take action. Sir, I'm telling you, this man forged a lien against my property. There was never any trial. There was no trial by jury. This man forged documents. Here's 9 state crimes he committed. Here's the federal crimes he committed. I'm going to need you to turn this over to the grand jury, sir. They didn't know what to do at that point. They froze. And we're sort of in suspended animation right here. Now, get this. They wanted me to come into court, and I think it was basically I was going to get my default judgment. So they wanted me to wear a mask, and I wasn't going to do that. They wanted to do the COVID testing and the mask. So I filed an objection to medical intervention. I said, you can't make me suffer assault and battery, in order to access an open public court. I said, it's a ridiculous claim. I said, so my body's my property. My body, my information, my genetic material, my property. I said, I'm not going to let anybody touch my body or take my genetic material. So I never asked for rescheduling. We were done. Never asked for rescheduling. So I let it go at that. And they said, we'll have to reschedule this. So the judge's assistant fills out the form to reschedule the hearing. So now I got the judge's assistant moving the case against me. Not the other side. They didn't file it. It's the judge's assistant filed it. And even on their own form, this is how corrupt they are. There's 4 check boxes for the plaintiff, which I'm not. I'm neither plaintiff or defendant. But there's 4 for the plaintiff and 4 for the defendant. You got to check off, well, why the reason for the hearing. She didn't check any of them. And then right under that, there was a line for signature. You have to verify that you've done this. Well, she didn't sign that. So I filed another objection into the court, and I said, hey, you know what? This is her hearing. She can come. She can show up and have this hearing. I said, because I didn't file for this. And I said, the alleged plaintiff that's a fiction, a corporate fiction, I said, they didn't file for this. So I said, I said, now I got the judge's assistant moving a suit against me. I said, you people keep stepping in one mess after another. I said, this is not going to turn out well for you. So now I'm going to walk them down the road of bar grievances, actual criminal complaints. I already got them in default, financial default, and I'm going to file liens against them. I'm going to close it out and start filing liens against them. So that's what got me into this. I mean, it was, like I said, you got to get in the mud and roll around with the pigs to figure out the game. And like you, Chris, this is how I got into the rules of civil procedure. Here's how it smacked me over the head, like the V8. Oh, that's what they're doing. So, I took the jurisdictionary course, and I was pretty thorough, and my understanding was judgments had to be signed. The judge got to sign the judgment. So I get this paper, and it's a notice of judgment. Okay, it just says notice of judgment, and it says signed by. There's no signature. It just printed out. It says Office of Judicial Support. Well, that's not a signature. Okay, we got a problem there. Where's the judgment? I'm looking. I see the copy of the attorney's pleading in there. I don't see no judgment. Where's this judgment at? So I called the clerk up, and I said, where's this judgment? I don't see any judgment in here. And they tell me, they said, wasn't the attorney's pleading in there? And I went, I'm looking at the first sheet. Pursuant to Rule Civil Procedure 236. Oh, I see what they're doing. They're using the Rule of Civil Procedure to overthrow my unalienable God-given rights. Those rules of civil procedure let that attorney do something he could never do normally. He would have to follow. Listen, that Constitution doesn't bind me, just like your Constitution don't bind you guys. Yep. It just secures your rights. So I'm like, oh, that's what they're doing. The legal society who wrote these rules of civil procedure, they wrote these in order to give attorneys authority, well, their authority, to do things they otherwise can't do. And I said, here's my sticking point. I got to take out the rules of civil procedure. And I started in the same hearing, the same matter I was telling you about, the sewer authority. Get this, Chris. I've come to find out this court, they got hacked a couple months ago. They got extorted. They paid extortion money from overseas. They took the website down for over a month. I couldn't figure it out. I'm thinking, how can their website be down for a month? I just found this out the other day. So during that time, I'm thinking, I got to file papers into this hearing here. So they had a link for the recorder, the county clerk. You email her. So I sent this motion for default judgment in there that I told you about, supported by the affidavits. I don't hear nothing for 6 days. Get nothing back from these people. Send an email. Hey, I got no verification for anything from you people. Here's the right back, Chris. Oh, we can't take your document. It didn't meet the rules of civil procedure. Now I'm livid. Okay, now I'm ready to be. I had enough now. So now I pick up the phone and I get on the phone with the woman that sent me the email. I said, I start rattling off federal district crime. I said, you're tampering with evidence. I said, this is my record. I said, you might not like my record, but I have the God-given right to tell my truth. You might not like my truth, but you can't tamper with the records. And you can't tell me I got to follow certain rules to get my truth into the record. I said, that's ridiculous. So once I started mentioning the federal, here's what she does to me, Chris. I started mentioning federal codes that these have jail sentences. She hangs up the phone on me. Now I've had enough, okay? Now I start writing up another thing to the clerk of the court. I'm going to go after her in the document. I'm almost through the document. I get this email come in. Mr. Faggiola, we've accepted your filing. Wait a minute. Magically, my filing fixed itself. And I wrote her back. I said, hey, how did my filing fix itself? What magically happened between when you hung the phone up on me and you sent me that email saying, we're now going to take your filing? How did it not meet the rules of civil procedure, but now suddenly it meets the rules? I said, I want a reason. I want to know what's going on. I said, because there's a lot of irregularities in this case, and I want to know what's going on. Never wrote back. Never got a response back. So that's how I was exposed to the rules of civil procedure and what they're doing with them. So it's funny, when I came across your stuff, I said, oh my God, this guy's talking about the same stuff I'm talking about. They're using rules of civil procedure to usurp your rights.
Yeah, it's a very powerful corruptive tool that's been put in place for a very long time, and they're always manipulating those rules of civil procedure as well, because when those of us and before me that were going in the courts and they were actually they're actually winning sometimes in their legal realm, they thought, we better close those loopholes against those people. And it's just a continual attack, so that they ring fence, and that these public courthouses, again, if I confused anyone the other night, I was referring to not a public court that I'm holding, it's the public courthouse. We're restoring access to our public courthouses so that a man like Alphonse and myself, or any man or woman, can move their claim like lightning through that courthouse, and no one, as Alphonse was just speaking to there, is going to be able to trespass on the case at the public courthouse. That's your property that you're filing that goes in there. And unfortunately, as I say to everybody, Alphonse, is that, ignorance is the biggest enemy that we've got here, because I think too, the people that you meet at these courthouses, the vast majority of them, they're really good people. They're just like you and I. They're trying to make a living 9 to 5, especially the court registrars. I mean, these people, they've got enormous responsibilities, and they've been really trained to be meticulously efficient in a particular legal capacity. And if you give them any type of paperwork that's outside of that realm, they kind of don't know what to do. And then what do they do naturally? Well, they go and ask their employer, the senior up, which is the robed ones, and they know what they're going to do. And then eventually we have these conflicts, as you know, that Michael Sukleski and I, we ended up going after 10 bar members. 8 of them were lawyers. 2 of them were justices of the peace. And then one was a judge. And then the last one was the registrar at the courthouse, right? Because she wasn't doing her job. We had all these bar members that were putting their filings, their paperwork into our property, our case file, that had no jurisdiction. And they were just letting them apply all these rules to it, to kick it out. So right now, it's gone right up to the chief of police in Halton here and that. I'm going to actually show the document again that's went out tonight here. But tell us a little bit more about some of the cases that you've done, and then you and I will jump onto this lovely letter that I got from the Law Society yesterday, which I think everyone will get a kick out of.
Yeah, and just to show the absurdity of these rules of civil procedure, this is a done deal. They got their judgment right away. This is a done deal. He was going to get his judgment. The attorney was all done. So I did something they didn't expect. I filed the motions into the hearing. Chris, they never saw this before. They never seen motions come into a hearing like this. So she scheduled a motions hearing. So I said, great, I'm going to show up. There's nobody on the other side. So I walk into court. The attorney comes up, objection. This guy's, per their own rules, Chris, rule 602 over here. And it's sure it's the same over there. A witness must have personal knowledge of a matter to testify.
That's right.
Sir, this man has no personal knowledge of anything. Is there anybody here to oppose my motion? Oh, he don't need it. The judge, he starts litigating. Oh, he don't need any evidence. All he needs is a certificate from the treasurer. Who's the treasurer? Where's she at? Is she here? Where's the certificate? They don't even have it in the case. So when I seen that, and he kept letting them talk over and over again, objection, sir, rule 602. He's got no personal knowledge. When I seen that stuff going on, I said, you know what? Screw their rules. I'm not following their rules. Even when their rules work for us, they don't follow them. They only follow their rules when they work for them. If they work for us, we're just going to ignore Rule 602. I don't worry about it. He don't need personal knowledge. And I said, you know what? Then I'm not playing that game. I'm just not going to play that game. We're not going to move that way. So that's just the bar is the bar is at the top of my list. Okay. That's what I'm going after is the bar. As far as cases, I just had one. This guy named Ryan, he was a 5-year ex-Marine. Now this guy's putting his life on the line to protect people's freedom. Okay. He goes out, they're protesting. There was a cop or something that killed like 3 people in the last 2 years or something. This is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And the people started protesting, okay? And they did a couple protests. And he was part of a group that he would go out there and they would pick up the trash, okay? They pick up all the trash after the protesters left. And so he's out there watching a protest in his bathroom. He's in his bathroom watching a protest. For whatever reason, this cop, the Humvees are coming by, and this cop gets his burr in his rear end. He don't like Ryan's got like a big long beard, and like a mountain man. Looks like, a tough guy. And for whatever reason, this cop gets a burr in his rear end, and he don't like something about Ryan. He jumps off the truck, tells Ryan to go home. Get out of here. Get home. And like Ryan said, yo, I'm a Marine. Nobody tells me where to go and when to go. It's not going to happen. Immediately tackles him to the ground. 4 other cops jump on him. And here's their famous tactic, what they do. Stop resisting. Yeah. I'm not resisting. He's got 5 guys on him. They're sitting on his hands, his legs. They're taking his head and smashing it into the ground. Okay? Stop resisting. Bang. Stop resisting. What? Resisting getting my rear end beat? Come on. So they do this to him. And then he said, like he said, it's not an arrest. It was a kidnap and an assault and battery. He wasn't arrested. There was no lawful arrest about it. He didn't do nothing. So they ring him up for $4,000 of fines on top of this, okay? So now he's got this arrest hearing he's got to worry about, $4,000 of fines. This guy's an ex-Marine. He's standing there in his bathroom and got tackled by 5 cops. Great. So he starts, he contacts me. He starts filing. I teach him a little bit about the affidavit stuff. He files 21 affidavits into the matter, okay? Anyone who was involved in this, he picked them. Oh, you want to get involved? Bang, I'll get you. Oh, I'll get you. He filed 21 affidavits in this matter. So during the course of this, he had to go to 2 hearings. He wouldn't wear a mask, okay? Both hearings. They threw him out of the first hearing, okay? Just tossed him out, failure to appear. So they wanted him to go to the hearing. He shows up without a mask. They kick him out of their court, and they file a failure to appear against him. Yep. Then second one, he shows up. Again, he's not wearing a mask. He sneaks in. He found a back door, him and his family. They snuck in. They walk into court. They immediately assault him. They come up and they're in their face. You got to wear a mask. The judge starts hollering at him. Okay? And now he starts toying with the judge. Hey, put your mask on. You're going to get sick. He said, yeah. So he starts toying with the judge. They arrest him. They half arrest him. They arrested him and supposedly arrested him. And they wanted to fingerprint him. He said, well, that's going to be a fight. I don't give my property away. I don't give my fingerprints away. And he wanted to take a picture. And he said, no, that's a graven image. I don't let my picture be taken. So they neither fingerprinted him or took his picture. And they released him in like a couple hours. And he said, I think they kept me because they wanted the hearing, the court to close. Because he went right back to the court, but he just missed it. They were closed. So here's how slimy they are. He starts getting text messages from the prosecutor asking, we got to talk. I got to talk to you. I got to talk to you. So, like, funny guy. He goes up a local psychiatrist around the prosecutor, and he sends him the information. He says, listen, your case is falling apart. If you need to talk to somebody, here's a professional you can go talk to. Go talk to this guy. He'll help you. And he's texting. Then he started calling. And he said, I had like 2 or 3 beers that day. He said, I figured, let me pick this up. So he picked the call up, and they're going at it. And he said, it almost sounded like we had a hearing over the phone between me and the prosecutor. So out of this melee that's going back and forth between those two, suddenly the offer drops. Give us $2,000 and we're good. We'll give you a 50% discount. Just give us $2,000 instead of $4,000. And Ryan not buying that. So then the second offer came in. Listen, I'll drop all charges if you come in and put the mask on and, you could sign the paper. I'm not coming in there putting a mask on. No. No, he said, Ryan said, I got an offer for you. Here's my offer. He said, drop all this nonsensical charges, and I'm going to leave you out of the lawsuit. And, well, I can't do that. Ryan said, listen, I'm going to have to bar grieve you. I have all kinds of bar grieves filed against me and claims, which is a lie. Because if he had all kinds of bar grieves filed against him, he wouldn't be an attorney when you figure out how insurance companies work. So that was, he basically shooed off Ryan. And 2 days later, he dropped all charges, including the $4,000. Everything went away. Okay. Because he's seen the liability that the affidavits cause, because he knew he can't answer those affidavits. He just can't answer them. So we got him. And like I told you earlier, Chris, listen, it's like catching a burglar breaking into your house and the guy saying, oh, you caught me. We're good. Just go about my way now.
That's right.
No harm, no foul, right?
Yeah.
So now he's going to go after them. Now he's going to file a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against them. And the danger for them is he's got video. This is not his word against their word. Right. He's got extensive video, and we're not going to show it to them. We're going to do what they're, you know what they're going to do, Chris.
Yep.
We're going to lie. Okay? We're going to let them lie, and then we're going to go, hey, is that you? Is that you that tackled him? He was just standing there. So we're going to let him lie, and I think Ryan's going to thump him. But so that's one of them that made me feel good. Here's a guy, 5-year ex-Marine, risking his life for his country.
Yep. And
these people he's risking his life for, they just total disregard for him, as didn't mean nothing to them.
Yep.
And that bothered me.
We see that happen all the time, and especially in the traffic court, right? Oh, you come in and you've got, $1,500 or $2,000 in fines or whatever. And as soon as you go in there and say, oh, can you reduce whatever? Well, yeah, okay, we got a special here today. You plead guilty and we'll take $1,000 off. And that's when you realize this has got nothing to do with law. It has to do solely with a corrupt system that's out there right now. And like I said, traffic court, if you go and sit in there and watch these, when we could, before our courts were closed, you really see the people that are having the most difficult times in our world today, struggling, to get by here. My camera just kicked off. Apologize for that there, Alphonse. My camera, it's doing a lot again here tonight or whatever, so we're going to have to find a workaround with this. I don't believe it's my system, but again, my new system will get built in a couple of weeks here, hopefully, and we'll get at her. But let's talk about something else here, or on the same frame that you're on there. For those of you that don't know or may know, the difference that Alphonse has talked about between himself and me is really just it's a technicality. I just loathe the bar so much, I won't even say the word affidavit because it pisses me off, right? I don't want to give them any credence. However, as I said to Alphonse privately, and I'll say to everybody here right now, that if I see something that works, that helps the people out there right now with whatever the situation they're having to deal with, then use it. So let's talk about what you do from the affidavit side of things, because I call mine a statement of truth. But when you're going after these people, explain to people how this affidavit process works for you. Give an example. If you're being dragged into court for, one of these, I don't know, trumped up charges that they've got, and there's no, they know what they're doing. It's all basically based on the rules of civil procedure. So how would you apply that affidavit to the people that are involved?
Well, and like I've heard people say, well, that's their documents, the affidavit. I've heard a lot of people say that to me. I mean, I've heard that from, chat room and emails. I look at it this way. If I could go over into their world and pick up a tool of theirs and I could perfect it and use it in a way that they can't use it, I'm going to pick that tool up and I'm going to bang them over the head with it.
Yep. Because
I know, listen, attorney, you're never going to see an attorney rebut an affidavit. It's not going to happen. Okay. The attorney's always the guy coming at you. Okay. Well, now we know about the attorney. He's got no jurisdiction in the matter. Okay. He's got zero jurisdiction. He's got no legal standing. And all standing means that you had a right violated or you were damaged or harmed in some way. So he has neither jurisdiction or standing. And the killer for him, he never has any personal knowledge of anything. He wasn't there. Yet he's going to speak for this corporate fiction. He's going to walk in and speak for Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, because that's who's coming at you. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You might as well put Mickey Mouse up there or Donald Duck, because he's going to come in and speak and act for a corporate fiction. And the only way that I found to expose this was by using a tool that I know he would never answer. So right away, listen, you know more than anybody, the all caps name, the trust, the illegal trust they set up in your name. Okay. And I keep saying to people, know your mom and dad didn't sign you away. Okay. And you're not lost at sea. Here's what happened. When you were born, they set up an unlawful trust under your name. That's what they're doing. And they're using you as the trustee, the surety for it. So what they did was illegal. So I try and nip that in the butt right away when I get a traffic ticket, or whether it's a tax matter or whatever. First thing I file in there is an affidavit of status. Hey, here's who I am. My rights come from my creator. Okay. My rights are God-given. My rights don't come from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or the borough of Ridley Park. My rights come from my creator. So I established that on the record. And an affidavit, you can get 2 or 3 witnesses. If you've got 2 or 3 witnesses, you can get 2 or 3 witnesses on your affidavit. That's just because of notary. Unfortunately, I don't have that luxury to have 2 or 3 witnesses available at all times. So I'll go to their notary. And even though I go to their notary, I'm not waiving any rights. All that notary is they're just verifying that I'm the guy that signed the affidavit. But here's the cool thing. When I go there to sign the affidavit, Chris, I bring my slave license, okay, my driver's license, my all caps name. But my affidavit, upper and lowercase. So now I use my slave license to get my king license, the affidavit of status. So now when I get that affidavit of status, that's my one document. Then I do what's called an affidavit of fact addressing just this matter. If it's a traffic ticket, hey, I was driving, this guy forced me off the road by force of arms, approached my car and assaulted me and threatened to batter me. And we'll go through and I'll take their paperwork apart. Because, listen, you don't serve process on the side of a road. You don't get summons to court on the side of the road. That cop is a member of the executive branch, whether he's over here, whether he's in Canada. He's a member of the executive branch. He can only execute orders. That means if there's a warrant signed for your arrest, he can go pick you up. Or if he sees you commit a crime, he can get involved. If it's not those 2 things, he's got no business messing with you, okay? So, like I said, he don't have any authority to be making legal determinations that he's got jurisdiction over you and that his codes apply to you. These are legal determinations he's making on the side of the road. So everything they do is fraught with error, these cops. So these citations, they're easy to take apart. So I'll do an affidavit of fact, and I'll address a lot of that. That, hey, this guy, he's not even an officer. He's not an officer. He's a private employee of a municipal corporation. He's a glorified security guard, but he's dangerous because they gave him a gun and they told him he can go do things to people. So I don't argue with cops, okay? I'll deal with them in my paperwork after we're done. I'm not going to argue with a guy with a 5-year-old with a gun. There's some of these guys are real dangerous with this stuff, so I don't argue with them. So I do the affidavit of fact, affidavit of status, and I kick it up a notch. Hey, you know what? Like you said, Chris, you're trespassing and administering my property without rights. Not only that, like Carl would say, you're uttering forged documents against me. This citation you wrote, guess what? That's also securities fraud. You took a piece of paper and you wrote some crap on it and you put a number on there, and now you're going to securitize this with the court. You're creating securities out of thin air. This is securities fraud. So I address all that in my affidavit of fact. All those. Basically, it's like saying that the emperor's got no clothes. I go through that thing, the emperor's got no clothes. And then I started doing another thing, which I just used. I take their document and I'll copy it and I'll circle everything that's fraud on the document. Now, in one document I got from a traffic court, 25 elements were on there that were fraud. And I numbered them, 1 through 25. And then I give them a separate sheet. Hey, number 1, Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. It's not a litigant. It's a corporate fiction, okay? Courts are for justicable controversies between 2 parties. That's not a party, okay? I can't defend myself against the fiction. So I'll go through and I'll state the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is an it. I don't reside in it. I have no contracts with it. And I'll sort of mock them, basically just take their document apart. I'll send that in. And once I send my paperwork, I don't talk to their courts. I won't go in their court. And they're not going to come after me. I know they're not going to come after me. Because if they come after me, now they got to deal with my affidavit of status, my affidavit of fact, the irregularities and deficiencies document I call, where I point everything that's fraud on their document, which is provably fraud. And I file a notice of claim against them. Hey, because you trespassed and you're uttering forged documents against me, you've compromised my estate, my property. You're compromising my property by doing this. I'm going to need $50,000 from you. So now I file a notice of claim against them, okay? Here's the good thing with the notice of claims. I learned this from a guy who trains attorneys, and if it's the same thing for whether it's the mayor or the borough manager or an attorney. In their insurance policies, their indemnity policies, they have an obligation, and when a claim's filed against them, they got to pick up the phone and call the insurance company and say, I just had a $50,000 claim filed against me. If they don't do that, the insurer can turn around and say, we're not covering you. You had a responsibility to tell us what's going on. You didn't tell us. Or we may drop you. So they got to let the insurance company know you filed that claim. So now the insurance company's not real happy, okay? Now, we all know that the attorney's moving this stuff against us. Even if it's a traffic ticket, it's the prosecutor that did the paperwork. The cop gives him the ticket, and he does all the paperwork to get you into court. We just talked about the attorney. No jurisdiction, no standing, no personal knowledge. He's going to get a bar grievance, okay? Now, when I send a bar grievance in against him, his buddies at the bar, they're going to get my grievance. They're going to tear it up in 1,000 pieces. They're going to throw it in the trash, and I'm going to get a nice, sweet letter from the bar telling me, Mr. Fagioli, your claims are frivolous. They hold no weight. Great.
Don't forget vexatious. They always like to throw that word.
Yes.
Vexatious and frivolous. It's like a stamp that they do all the time.
Yeah, they like that. They like that word. So that's going to be your standard form letter, okay? And people go, well, why would you do that? Well, why file it if you're just going to get that letter back? Because here's what they don't want you to know. Mr. Attorney, in a lot of their indemnity policies, he's got to tell the insurance company he had a bar grievance filed against him. Why does he have to do that? Because what files bar grievances a lot? Lawsuits, okay? He's getting set up for a lawsuit. So right away, I'll hit the attorney with a bar grievance. Then I'm going to hit him with my affidavit of status, my affidavit of fact, the irregularities and deficiencies of the document he sent out that he was responsible for sending out. He put that corporate fiction up there as the plaintiff, and he's claiming to speak for it. That's fraud, okay? And I'm going to file a notice of claim against him, and I usually make it a lot more than $50,000. I up the ante, $200,000, $300,000, because now not only does he have a bar grievance filed against him that he had to pick up the phone and call his insurance company for, now he's got a notice of claim that I just filed against him on top of it. Now the insurance company knows he's going to get sued. Oh my God, this guy filed a bar grievance. He filed a notice of claim. He's going to get sued. Who's going to pick up the bill for the suit, Chris? Insurance company, okay? Now, Mr. Attorney, he's not worried about my $143 traffic ticket anymore. He's not worried about losing his insurance. He's worried about, if I lose my insurance, I can't practice. Now, gentlemen I learned this stuff from, the two gentlemen I learned this stuff from, Randy Kelton from Texas and his sidekick, Brett Fountain. They have a radio show called Rule of Law Radio, and Randy Kelton's somewhat of a legend. He's been around a long time doing this stuff, and he's caused a lot of havoc. Good stuff. But I don't know where I got cut off, so I'll just do a quick recap. Listen, if you're a first-year attorney, you get a bar grievance filed against you, you're going to lose your insurance probably, okay? If you're an experienced attorney and you get 2 bar grievances in 1 year, you're probably going to lose your insurance. You can't be an attorney no more. If you're a law firm and you get 3 bar grievances in 1 year, your law firm's going to lose their insurance. And the way you go after a law firm, you don't file a grievance against the law firm. You file it against the partners in the law firm. So if this attorney does something to you and there's 5 partners, you file it against the attorney and you file it against the 5 partners. You think those 5 partners are real happy about getting a bar grievance filed against them because of something that the lower level attorney did? No. So he's now in the hot spot. Not only is he in the hot spot with his partners from the law firm, he's got to tell his insurance company he just had a bar grievance filed against him. And following that, you're going to hit him with your notice of claim. Now he's got to call him up again and say, this guy just filed a $200,000 claim against me. Now he's not worried about me and you, Chris. Not worried about our $140 ticket for this trafficking. Now he's worried about keeping his insurance to be an attorney. So, listen, these are parasites, these attorneys. They're parasites. They feed off of the ignorance of the masses. And we've all been through school, through through media, through our family. Just we've all been indoctrinated that, the first thing you do when you get in trouble, you run and you nail down and genuflect to the attorney, and you get him to handle your problem because you're incompetent to handle your own problems. And this has been ingrained in us, Yep. And when I looked at this, I went, wow. And listen, I'm sure you've done this too, Chris. You talk to the local people. You talk to the locals, the button pushers.
Yep.
They're button pushers. The people in the local governments, they get these jobs and they're told, you do this and you do that. They really don't know why they're doing it. Like Chris said earlier, they don't really understand the legal pinnings of what they're doing. Somebody just told them this is your job and this is what you do.
Yep.
So they're no problem to take out. They'll never come into court and testify against you. They can't. They'll get slaughtered. So then the next weakest link is the attorney. It's always the attorney, okay? So you address him right off the bat. Don't even let him get out of the chute. Go after him with the bar grievance, and you go after him with your affidavits and your notice of claim. Now he's worried about himself, not worried about you. And if some other attorney from his firm gets involved, you do the same process against him. Oh, you want to get involved, Mr. Attorney? Come on in. We'll just double everything up. Here's the paperwork. I'll change the name. Here you go, my friend. Everything here is for you. So now they're worried about us.
When you were doing the notice of claim, when you file that's still under the rules of civil procedure. You're still using the legal forms?
No,
that's what I wanted to clarify with you.
Forms. Everything's mine. No, these are all my own forms, notice of claim. It's just a document I type up, basically. And I say, hey, by the way, I pretty much hit what you were saying. You're trespassing and administer my property without rights. And oh, by the way, you're uttering forged documents against me. You're compromising my property. What you're doing is compromising my property. I'm going to need X amount of dollars from you for what you've done. You've stepped out of bounds. You don't have this authority to do what you're doing. Yep. So, yeah, it's basically, I don't use any of their forms. And like I said, the reason I like the affidavit is, yeah, it might be their document, but they can't use it like me and you can, okay? Because when I filed that affidavit into that case, the attorney can't answer me. And I know nobody from the local borough or the county or the township, none of them are going to come forward to answer that document because they don't no clue what's in that document, Chris. They have no clue. Okay? So it's sort of a bulletproof document when I put it in there because, and let me address the affidavit real quick, what it is. All an affidavit is, it's out of court statement. It's out of court testimony, okay? It's still hearsay. When I do an affidavit and I get it notarized, it's technically hearsay until I put it on that court record. Even if I filed it into the docket, like I filed electronically, it's not in the court record yet. It's just in the docket. I need to get it on the court record. Once I get my affidavit on the court record, they're done because Mr. Attorney can't answer the affidavit. And nobody from the county or the borough or the township, they're not going to answer it either. So now when I get my affidavit on the court record, it acts as uncontested testimony. That's testimony that's unrebutted. So it stands as fact. And Mr. Judge, this is not a motion for Mr. Judge, okay? Mr. Judge can deny motions because they're under the rules of civil procedure to motion. So he's got motions. But affidavit, that's above Mr. Judge. Now we're in the land of commerce when we're throwing affidavits around because affidavits work both in legal proceedings and commercial proceedings. They cross over. And commerce can only be done by way of affidavit. You got to have truth in commerce or else it will be chaos. So when I get that affidavit that's above that judge, he can't knock my affidavit out. He can't say, I'm not going to take your affidavit, Mr. Fajola. Oh, so let me get this straight. We got the third party trier of facts, the judge in the middle. We got two parties on each side. The one party says, hey, here's my affidavit. Everything on here, I'm willing to go to jail for under penalty of perjury. I'll testify to everything on here. And then he goes to the other side. The other side says, I'm not signing that. I'm not doing anything with that. Well, who's telling the truth in this matter then? The guy willing to put his rear end on the line? Or the guy going, I'm not filing that. I'm not doing that. Yep. And it's sort of, I look at it this way, Chris. It's the affidavit takes the fiction and it drags him over into the real world. Okay? It brings him from fantasy land, their courts, their commercial courts, and it pulls them over into the real world. Yep. And they hate affidavits. Attorneys hate affidavits.
Yep. Yeah, it's a very, very powerful tool that it's used within their system. I'm glad you brought that up because I wasn't exactly sure how you were doing your filings if you were still playing in their sandbox. So now I understand that you're still filing, even though you call an affidavit, you're not moving under the rules of civil procedure. Now, do you establish your own court, or do you still how do you establish your court? Or are you simply filing into their court system? Is that how you've been doing it? You don't start your...
No, I'm glad you asked that. I'm real glad you asked that because I don't file into that case. If I file into that case, I give it validity. All right? I don't file into that case. The only reason they're going to know that it's the case I'm talking about, because I'm going to have that one document called deficiencies and irregularities, where I point out every fraud on that document. They're going to see the docket number on there. They created that. I don't even refer to the docket number in my documents. I could care less about their case. My paperwork that I file, my affidavits and my notice of claim, are not meant for their court hearing. I am not addressing this matter. It's not a special appearance. It's nothing. I'm not filing papers into that court hearing. I'm doing a whole separate commercial claim that's sitting on common law. Because common law states we have a right to face our accuser, right? If I make allegations, somebody's got to come forward to rebut my allegations. If they don't, my allegations are true. So I'm taking a commercial process that they use, but I'm sitting on top of common law. Because unless they bring a witness forward to rebut my affidavit, they're done. There's no witnesses over. You can't have no facts on your side because the attorney can't submit facts into this case. He's got no personal knowledge of it. So then somebody's got to testify from the other side. Well, when they start seeing the paperwork fly into the case right away, the first thing the attorney's going to get, he's going to get bar grieved. He's going to get an affidavit of status, an affidavit of fact, a notice of claim, and that notice of the irregularities and deficiency document. He's sitting with a ton of documents now, and it's all bad for him, okay? This is all bad stuff for him. Everybody on that other side is going to know that this attorney just got whacked with all this stuff. You think anybody from the county's coming in after what I just did to him with the paperwork? You think they would have come in and go, oh, I'll testify. Here, let me get up there and be the slaughtered lamb. I'll do it. They run. All of a sudden, there's no witness over here. Hey, how can we have a hearing with no witnesses and no facts? So the affidavits sort of they shut them down. They like I said, they drag the fiction into reality. But no, I don't file into that case. And case in point, Chris, I did it with they let these attorneys create these liens out of thin air. You have a fight about the sewer extortion bill, and the attorney will just file a lien out of thin air. There was never a trial by jury. You had no trial to defend yourself. There's no due process. Nobody knocked on your door and gave you service of process, which they need for personal jurisdiction. All courts need that. They create the lien out of thin air, okay? So there's no due process. So they did this to me, and I basically wrote the clerk of court, the clerk a letter, and I said, hey, you better get this stuff out of your records because I'm going to bounce your rear end through federal district court. You know, you let an attorney walk into your court and forge and falsify a lien. Here's the 9 crimes, Pennsylvania crimes he committed. Barratry, oppression. You know, I got them all listed there. Here's what this guy committed. You let this guy do this. You're an officer of the court. You should know better. And I've had those few suits, they sort of disappear. No one moves on them anymore. I never get any more paperwork on the suits. They just disappear. So it's not what listen, the monkeys don't do this to them, Chris. We're the monkeys, okay? We're the circus monkeys. They tell us what to do. They tell us where to go, how to jump, what to do. The monkeys don't do this to them. The monkeys don't fight back. So when the monkey starts fighting back, they go, oh, wait a minute. Bar grievance, a $300,000 claim. Holy hell, what did I get myself into? This is over a $143 traffic ticket. What's going on here? I just did it with a judge. I knocked the traffic ticket out 5 months ago. Done. They were going to strip my license, all this stuff. They're going to take my driver's license. Get this. I show up to the court. The court's closed. Nobody tells me the court's closed. I show up. There's no close. It's closed. Nobody tells me. So, all right. So I don't hear anything more from these people for 2 months. Then all of a sudden, I get a thing from the Department of Motor Vehicles. Get this. They had the court closed. The letter says, you've got to October 7th to go pay $50 for another hearing. You guys shut it down, but now I got to pay $50 for the hearing or we're going to suspend your license. I said, oh, hell no. So I threw affidavits into the case, and it went away for about 5 months. Didn't hear anything more about it. So this pettifogger shyster judge decides he's going to try and get his pound of flesh, his money. I get a letter from the judge. It states who initiated the action. Not the other side. There's not the prosecutor. The prosecutor didn't move it. It was the judge. It said it right on the document. I said, wait a minute. The impartial third-party trier of facts is now moving a suit against me. I got the judge moving a traffic ticket suit against me. So I said, all right away. No, you want to tell me there's not something shady going on? I filed I do 2 mailings that day. I did an official judicial complaint against him, okay, with the Judicial Review Board. Now, we all know that the Judicial Review Board is going to go rip, and throw it away. But I also know that he's got to tell his insurance company he got a complaint filed against him. So that's a black mark on him right there, okay? And I also filed, that same day, I filed a affidavit, notice of fact, notice of affidavit status, and a notice of claim against this judge. And he knew it was coming because I broadcast it up on my YouTube channel. I don't hide from these people. I want them to know what's coming. I'm not going to hide documents from you. Oh, and I also threw another one in there for him, mail fraud. Because what he sent me was listen, in that document, the 1-page document, they're trying to extort money from me, okay? And he states on there, if I don't come to his hearing, he's going to send people to arrest me. Well, that's kidnapping, that's assault, that's battery, that's extortion through the mail. In other words, pay us, or we're going to send these armed thugs to your house, and they're going to come pick you up.
Yep.
That's a mail fraud claim. So I filed a mail fraud claim against them, a judicial claim against them, on the top of the affidavits. So the post office where I mailed this was 3 miles away from the courthouse. The next town over, 3 miles. Could have stuck it on a turtle. He would have made it there in a few days. Would have been good. Took 19 days for that document to go from the post office to the courthouse. And here's the only reason it got delivered. At day 17, it was getting ridiculous. So Friday night, I filed a complaint with the USPS, the Postal Service in the U.S. And it goes right to the manager for that post office, the Media PA post office. So almost right away, I get a letter from him, and right away he goes back on the fallback. Oh, due to COVID. It's due to COVID, we got delays. 19 days? Wait, I sent the other letter, had to go all the way to Harrisburg. Talking like a couple hundred miles, okay? Went to Harrisburg, and I got a return letter from the Judicial Committee saying, we got your complaint, Mr. Fagiola. So wait, that made it back. And the one that had to go 3 miles, we were on day 17 at that point. So day 18, I get the letter from him. It's everything delayed because of COVID. And miraculously, the morning of day 19, Mr. Judge receives the certified mail. Now, listen, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but something went on with that mail. They wanted to do something with that mail. They didn't want that green card coming back, proof of service, you know? So I know this stuff has an effect. I've seen it. I've seen it. I've turned more attorneys away from me. As soon as I get, even with the property tax stuff that I'm fighting, that's my next cause too. I'm gonna nail these people with this property tax stuff. But as soon as their attorneys stick their nose in my business, I go right at them. Bar grievances, notice of claims, affidavits. They go away, Chris. I don't hear anything more from the attorneys. They go away. And I also bang them with a mail fraud complaint right away because they like to send me their letter with their real official, their little logo on there that's supposed to intimidate me. Yeah. Oh, so-and-so law firm. Dude, I could care less about your law firm. That's just going to get you a mail fraud complaint. It's going to get you bar grievance. It's going to get you affidavits and notice of claims filed against you. Now let me see what you're going to do, my friend. And they go, they get quiet. They get very quiet.
Now, you've got a lot of these documents up on your website, correct, for free downloads for people, the templates and that?
Yeah.
That'd be terrific. Could you let everyone know what your website is so I don't forget near the end?
Sure. It's called I Am Has Sent Me To You. Just like the sentence, I am has sent me to you.com. And that's a little play off the Bible. You know, when Moses said, you know, who would I tell the people who sent me? You know, he said, you tell them I am has sent me to you. You know, in other words, the creator didn't want a tag. You weren't, listen, I'm the creator. I created all this. You're not going to put a title on me, the all caps name. You're not going to put a title on me and define me. I am. I created this. I am. So that's sort of what my take of that was, that he was telling them that you're not going to put a man-made title on me like the all caps name.
Yep.
I am who I am. You
Yep.
told him I am has sent me to you. So that's why I use that for my website to.
That's fantastic, brother. Well, look, why don't we just jump on this? We'll bring up the letter I sent you earlier today, and we'll have a good tackle with it.
Oh, I love that.
Pretty good. Yeah. So for everyone that doesn't know, yesterday I got a letter from it revolves back to the Pahar Court that we launched on November the 12th with Mac Pahar in British Columbia, and it's the Pahar Court, but I'm just down as a counselor at law. Okay. I'm not representing him or representing him in his court case. I'm simply there to ensure that the jurisdiction that he established, the common law, is not messed with. That's ultimately why I'm there. And if he has any questions for me, I'm there to assist him while he's in court. But I am not acting for him. As I've always told people, Alphonse, is that in common law, you cannot have somebody represent you or represent you.
No.
You have to stand there in the capacity of the man or the woman in the flesh, and you have to be able to stand your ground. And that's the problem that we haven't been taught how to do, because this thing is so convoluted. So you can tell I'm right over the target here, people. What I'm going to do, there goes my camera again. Yep, does it a lot to me here. Sorry about that. So what I'm going to show everybody here. So this is the communication that I was looking to talk to everybody the other night about. Okay, and we're just going to quickly go through this. This is what got sent to me, basically yesterday. And it's from the Law Society of British Columbia, March 17, 2021. There's the Christopher James. Dear Mister, I'm not a mister. He's already trying to diminish my capacity right from the get-go, so I'll make sure I talk to him about that. Here we go. Regards unauthorized practice of law and false representation. Oh, that's a good one. The Law Society is responsible for enforcing statutory prohibitions of unauthorized practice of law in British Columbia and investigative possible contraventions of these prohibitions. The relevant provisions in the Legal Profession Act, there we are with the acts again, people, are enclosed for your reference. Oh, isn't that nice of them? Section 15.1 says that the subject to limited expectations, only a lawyer is permitted to engage in the practice of law. Well, that's fun. I don't remember reading that in the Bible, right? We all have a duty to understand and know the law as man or woman in this world. We don't need a license to practice anything, as I tell everybody. And yet, this society that I belong to is dictating to me now that I need one. And it says, as you can see, the definition of the practice of law under Section 1 includes a number of common legal tasks, including appearing as a counselor or advocate, giving legal advice, and representing that you are qualified or entitled to do any of those things. So again, people need to simply understand this is a society that neither Alphonse or myself belong to. I'm not bound to anything they do. It's a public courthouse or it's a private courthouse. So it's interesting that this is the first time I've had this, brought to my attention, which is interesting, especially when the documentation has been crystal clear that I'm not representing anybody. Okay, so you know you're over the target when this happens. And I'm not going to go through all of this. Okay, I'm going to put this up on this thing, but it says, we have reviewed your notice, Counselor at Law, filed, well, number one, it wasn't my notice. Mac Pahar, the Pahar Court, the man who's moving his claim in court, it's his notice. He gave them notice that I am the officer of his court. I'm the man that's acting as counselor at law to assist them at this time. That's it. He didn't say anything about that I was representing him. Said filed at the New Westminster Registry, and there's the file number, the transcript of your telephone appearance and that matter on January 25th, 2021, and correspondence related to the Mac Pahar family v. Horrigan Supreme Court file, New Westminster Registry. It appears that you are engaged in the unauthorized practice of law in British Columbia. Well, number one, I'm not in British Columbia. What the hell's British Columbia, right? I'm in a public courthouse, right? That's where I'm moving my claims in courts. And it appears that again, it goes on to talk about, according to our records, you are not a lawyer in British Columbia or anywhere else in Canada. That's absolutely right. I want nothing to do with these parasites. So it basically says to me, require you to immediately cease representing, which I'm not doing Pahar and any other clients, and cease referring to yourself as a lawyer. I've never referred to myself as a lawyer, people, a counselor at law. Learn to write English, people. A counselor at law, or any other title that suggests that you're qualified or entitled. There's a good word, entitled to engage in the practice of law. That's a right that every man and woman has. It's our duty to understand the law and to stand up for ourselves and bring that claims forward when the time is right. So again, sign and return, abide by the enclosed written commitment. The written commitment simply requires you to acknowledge that you understand, I'm not a you, the prohibitions under the Legal Profession Act. I'm not bound by the Legal Profession Act, and commit to abiding by them going forward. If you cease acting in these proceedings and return the signed written commitment, we will close our file. Oh, isn't that sweet of them? Right? Well, I'm just getting started with you people. Trust me. If you haven't learned by now, your bar's finished. Subject to any future complaints. If you do not, we may need to take action under, there's that level word may, need to take action under Section 85. We strongly recommend that you immediately get legal advice, no thanks, about the contents of this letter and enclosed written commitment. We look forward to hearing from you at your earliest convenience, but no later than March 31st, 2021. So I'm just going to skip it down real quickly here. There's the guy, Gavin Hushgra, unauthorized practice counsel. I don't know what the hell that is. But anyways, look at all this, what they sent me. They sent me the act. There's the definitions, and they expect that all this bullshit applies to me, right? I don't think so, people. Is my name in here? Have I consented to agree to it? Nope, not a private courthouse. And then here's the written commitment that they wrote up. Whereas is the mandate of the Law Society of British Columbia to protect the public interest under the provisions of the Legal Provision Act. Well, that's only that you're supposed to be providing to your legal services that you're offering to the people should they choose to use you. And hopefully not many will be after this. And then it goes here. I, Christopher James, it's got my name in all capital letters, people. So we already know I should send them to the creator of that document because they've definitely got the wrong man here. They need to be dealing with the Service Corporation Ontario that created that fiction. Agree not to perform any of the acts defined in the Legal Profession Act as the practice of law. I specifically agree that I will not, either personally or through any other entity, perform the following acts for in the exception of a fee, gain, or reward, direct or indirect, from the person for whom the acts are performed, including appearing as a counsel or advocate, drawing, you can just read this stuff. It's just ridiculous, right? They're basically telling me I'm not allowed to go to the courthouse at all. And it's beautiful. They go through at the bottom here, again, I agree to falsely represent myself being a lawyer, a student at law or law clerk. They've covered everything under the sun that I could possibly appear at that courthouse. Everything except what? A man. Okay? And at the bottom it says, I, Christopher, my family name, agree not to commence, prosecute, or defend a proceeding in any court on behalf of another, regardless of whether I receive a fee. Yes, because our entire world is based on a fee structure, isn't it? Isn't it, Alphonse?
Chris, will you leave these poor defenseless attorneys alone? Come on, Chris. I mean, stop beating up on these poor defenseless attorneys. My God, come on. It's ridiculous. Listen, I didn't know you
sorry,
remember
I shouldn't really tell everybody right now. Sorry you caught me. I'm sorry. I've been pulling this stick now for, the last 15 years of my life. And, yeah, you got me.
This looks like an employee's manual, and I'm pretty sure you're not an employee.
Exactly. Like,
okay?
Who are you, buddy? If I got a contract with the Service Corporation you work for, that's nice. You work as a lawyer. You act as a lawyer. That's nice. What have I got to do with your society? Absolutely nothing. Now, if I'm entering a British Columbia courthouse and it is run and owned and it only deals in legal proceedings, well, absolutely. I got no business going into that court trying to mess with whatever they're doing. But I didn't enter their courts. I entered a public courthouse, and we're moving a claim on behalf of a man. That's it. Right? So it's very powerful when you learn this stuff. And like I said, that's the first time I've got that letter ever in the last, almost 15 years helping people. So that to me told me that I'm right over the target here. They know that something is very wrong, and they've got to do anything they can through intimidation, through these acts. So, like I said, everyone knows I don't do the affidavit side of things, but I'll tell you what, as we talked before, we'll say it on camera here, Alphonse. I'd like to do we'll work together on this one and do a little bit of those grievance things with them and show everybody on both sides of the border here how that works.
We could have so much fun with this.
Yeah.
We could have so much fun with this. Bar grievance and the notice of claim against this guy. Now you're ringing the insurance bell.
Yep.
He's never seen this before. The monkeys don't do this to him.
Yep.
How dare you? I'll tell you what, you're going to be the first person in history that files a bar grievance against him and a notice of claim asking for money for what he did for getting one of these letters. Because usually everybody gets these and they're scared.
Yep.
Well, they're going to do something to me. I better be a good boy and fill it out like he said by March 31st and send it back.
Yep.
We could have a lot of fun with this.
Oh, yeah. So I look forward to, like I said, I'm going to do my dog and pony show that I normally do here, and then I'll incorporate this. I address it from writing him back directly first and foremost, but then we'll do the grievance side of things with the affidavit, to as part of his bar. Anything to get them in trouble, I love that. But, as I try to acquire the oaths and office, of the local people who were suing in the past, Sukleski courted me, they wouldn't even produce their oaths of office, right? This is how pathetic they are, as you're talking about, that they will not even honor within their own realm. Maybe within their own realm, yeah, they protect everybody because nobody within their realm is filing grievances against each other, right? And the only one that I had that one was actually my father's pension case. I haven't mentioned that too much to people, but that was a $240 million class action lawsuit. I actually went to a lawyer by the name of Jeff Adair, one of the top 500 lawyers of the bar. And at the end of the day, he ended up doing an end run on me. And then the second lawyer that I got, his name was Ian M. Angus, who was actually the mayor. He may still be the mayor out in Port Hope in Ontario. The reason I tell you this, the M stands for Molson family. That's the beer in Canada here. So you're talking, he's pretty high up there, right? So anyways, this guy came on board and he said everything under the sun. Here's a guy. Now, just to show you, all right? I should actually do a show sometime. I've been holding it back on my father's pension, Alphonse, because I want to save that for the courthouse, right? That's ultimately why I want to bring that information forward. But I can tell everybody this is that the second lawyer that I got, Ian M. Angus, he filed what you just talked about here, a grievance to the society. What Jeff Adair was doing, he was basically throwing his clients under a bus. He actually bribed him and he put it in writing.
Wow.
A $25,000 bribe to walk away from this case because I went and retained another lawyer to get rid of Adair, and Adair wouldn't leave when he took all my casework, all my property. This is before I knew where I was at now, right, with everything. It would have been a different story. But these are the things that we have to go to, as you talked about. You got to get your nose bloodied. And I've been kicked around, knocked down the stairs, but we keep getting up. And then finally you develop a really good skin, and then you understand exactly this game that's being played.
Chris, isn't this guy an interloper, this Gavin Hoekstra?
Yeah.
Okay, right, he's an interloper, right?
I don't know who he is.
Now, isn't he interfering with Matt Parhar's property?
Absolutely. He's trespassing, brother.
So we just fought for turnip truck. Hey, I don't know who you are. I have no idea who you are, my man. Listen, I'm moving this case in an open public court here, and you're making threats against me.
That's right.
I don't know who you are. Geez, I'm going to have to bar grieve you. I'm going to file. And here's the problem. When you do the affidavits, he can't answer you. He can't respond to your affidavits. Because now when he opens his mouth up, sir, any response he gives you after your affidavits, you throw in the trash. It means nothing. Affidavits can only be rebutted point for point. If I put 10 points on there and I take your letter apart, you gotta take out 10 for 10. Anything left standing in that affidavit, it's fact. He's not going to answer you no matter what. Attorneys don't answer affidavits. They're afraid of affidavits because affidavits are liability. And they know they never have jurisdiction. They never have standing, and they never have personal knowledge. That's and they know what they're doing is fraud with the whole trust name. They know exactly what they're doing. So when you listen, let's go bar grieve this guy, and let's get a notice of claim against him, and let's have some fun with Gavin Hoekstra. Let's go. We're
going to have a good time with him. We'll get something out to him the top of next week because he did give me a deadline. God bless him, right? Like. He's really nice that way, right? He's going to threaten me, but you know what?
Hey, Chris,
I'm going to give you a couple of weeks to think about this.
Hey, why don't you send him a bill, Chris?
Oh, yeah.
He's giving you an order. He gave you an order, didn't he? Like Carl said, he gave you an order, didn't he?
That's right.
Give him a bill.
Yep.
Hey, you gave me an order. You wanted me to respond by March 31st? Here's your bill. I'm going to add it in my notice of claim. Here's my claim amount plus $50,000 for your order.
There you go.
And drop it on him.
Yep. We'll share that with everybody, and we'll move this process forward as it goes forward. So, we've covered a lot of stuff here tonight, Alphonse, and it's we're into an hour and a half, and I just wanted to say, everyone, I'm definitely going to be having you coming back because I think it's time that we start coming together. And what we'll do is we'll start picking cases on both sides of our border, so to speak, and we'll drill down on them, and we'll really do some casework so that people can see, because that's ultimately what people are looking for. God bless you for all the templates that you put up to help people. That's the most important thing, to at least give people a sense of the process of what they're doing. So when we can show that to everybody, as you say, right from the notices that you give, along with the affidavits, the grievances, that 3 or 4 step process that you like to do, I'm always looking for ways to condense that and make it shorter and shorter. So just talking about it now, I think we should give this, whatever his name is, Gavin guy, just give him a really good, strong letter up front that names all those things that are going to happen, and see what he does. See if he actually rescinds or walks away from it. And then if he doesn't, then we go full whole hog on him with the affidavits and the grievances and whatever else we're going to do. But
listen,
these people have to be put into place.
Ryan the Marine said when he had that conversation with the prosecutor, when he picked up the phone,
yep.
When he mentioned bar grievance, all of a sudden, I have all kinds of bar grievances filed against me, blah, 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 blah. 2 days later, gone.
That's right.
So he struck a nerve with what he said, that bar grievance.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I want everyone to know that this is just like we're in the process here, both Alphonse and myself and other people around this world. We are trying to restore right, the rule of law at our public courthouses. We're trying to restore again this, this confidence that we know that there is going to be a rule of law, that there is remedy there for us. And this is what we've all been denied through this society. So this is just another leg up. But the ultimate thing for all of us in this world is to get those rules of civil procedure out of the way, because as soon as they're gone, then we don't have to do any of these affidavits or anything anymore, because we're going to be put right in front of a jury of our peers, and those people are going to know that they're dead to sights. That's when they're going to be held accountable.
And that's something that's another good thing that I like to do with the affidavits I'm doing now is basically from the start with a case, I'll put that right in my affidavit of fact. Hey, I have no obligation or contract with the bar, the legal society. I'm under no obligation to follow your rules of civil procedure.
That's right.
Matter of fact, I'm under no obligation or contract to follow your laws, your statutes, your codes, and your ordinances.
Yep.
All right? We live by the golden rule. Do no harm to your fellow man. That's pretty much it. So when you address all that and stick that in their face and you back it up with an affidavit of status, they can't move too far with you. What are they going to do? Yep. Who's going to come in and answer you? That's the only reason I like the affidavits. It forces them to answer.
Yep.
Listen, it crosses over into commercial law. I said it's commercial law sitting on top of common law. And we can use that tool in a way that they never can use that tool. That attorney's never going to file an affidavit against you. He's never going to rebut your affidavit. So now you got his tool and you just energized it to a point where he can never get to that point where you're at with it. You can't use that tool the way you use it. Yep. So you stick it over his head, and then when he tries to answer you, Mr. Attorney, you're an experienced attorney. You know affidavits can only be rebutted by the party they're filed against, and they must be rebutted point for point. You know that. You don't need me to tell you that. Don't write me a letter. I could care less about your letter. Here, do it again, Mr. Attorney. Rebut my affidavit. You do your affidavit, and then we'll fight it out. And he's not going to do that. So that's how you sort of get control of these attorneys.
Yep. And what I would also say here too, Alphonse, is that everything that we're doing here right now, at least at my end as well, is I'm dragging this evil out into the light, right? I want them to attack me like they're doing here with the Pahar court, and as they've done with this Siklevsky court, and as they're going to do with these other courts, because the more that they come out into the light with these letters, because they've been getting away with this for so long, is because they don't realize the thousands and millions of people that are going to see this documentation very soon, right?
I just got an idea. This guy just gave you standing, Chris. This guy, Gavin Hoekstra, he just handed you standing. He took his rule book and he's claiming that it applies to you. What if you personally turn around and sue Gavin Hoekstra on false claims, making false claims?
Yep.
That sort of takes out rules of civil procedure, doesn't it?
It sure does.
There's no way he's going to win that case.
Nope.
There's no way he's going to be able to take that rule book and prove that it applies to you. So now it even takes Mac away from it. Because he didn't send this to Mac, he sent it to you.
That's right.
So he just handed you standing.
Yep.
You can whack him over the head. Hey, Mr. Hoekstra, if need be, I'm going to file against you. Like you said, we'll send him the warning letter. I'm going to file against you, and I'm going to knock your rules of civil procedure right out the box.
Yep.
Because there's no way you're walking into court and attaching a document to me. It's
That's
a
right.
ridiculous claim.
Yep.
He handed you – guy did you a favor.
It was a gift. It's a gift. That's what people have to realize, that when you understand the shtick that's going on here, you've got every which way but Sunday to hammer these people. But that's why we do this meticulously now. And yeah, we could just jump right through and, do what I do at my end, so to speak. Like I would move a claim against this guy if he didn't back off. I give him a very pointed letter, you better produce da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or you're going to be liable to me. But with the other option that you're offering here with the affidavit and the grievances and all that stuff, that's great. We need to show people this, because what's going to come of that, Alphonse, is that when we put pen to paper and everybody sees the first initial communication goes through, then they see the next step that we do, that is going to educate people. That is what shows people what we're doing, and that this isn't that hard. You just have to understand that these people have no jurisdiction control over us.
Chris, I got many cases I'm fighting on my front. They just sort of seem to go away. But the last one they just did, the rule, like we said, the rules of civil procedure allow the attorney to do something they can't normally do. Okay? Because without the rules of civil procedure, if these attorneys were acting the way they're acting, they'd be swinging from a tree. Okay? Because they're in violation of your Constitution, our Constitution. So when this local court here, municipal court, they sent me a judgment, one of them phony judgments, no signature, and it came from the Office of Judicial Support, and right at the top, pursuant to Rule of Civil Procedure 236. Well, who's in charge of that Office of Judicial Support? That's the clerk, right? That's her court. So I was thinking about suing her. Just on that point.
Yep.
I'm going to sue her just for Rule of Civil Procedure because I'm going to state she's uttering forged documents against me. She's claiming that these rules of civil procedure, look, she put it right in her own document. She's claiming these apply to me. Now let her bring her rear end into court and explain how their rules of civil procedure apply to me. And I really think that's where I'm going to go with her. Because, like I said, she handed me standing.
Yep.
By sending me that paper, now I don't have to fight. I don't have to fight about the case. I'm going to fight about the rule of civil procedure. And if we knock that out, me or you knock that out, that's precedent.
That's
now
right.
everybody can take that and say, "Now you can't apply your rule of civil procedure to me." Look, Fagiola versus County of Delaware.
That's right.
So I think that's where we should go with this. Like I said, I'm going to do it on my end. I'm going to go after the clerk.
Good.
And it's going to stun her. She's not going to see this coming.
Yep.
Because I doubt she's had one of the monkeys say, "I'm going to sue you for your rules of civil procedure." They've
Yep.
never seen this.
Yep. Well, that brings me up to this. I want to show everybody here just before we go another screen share here. In my cases that I've got with the Zukoski Court, you don't probably know too much about it, but what's ultimately it's at right now is that once these two judges that one judge that was actually being sued, as soon as she got served, she tried to bring a motion in, or basically she put a motion out there saying, "I'm going to give you 2 weeks to provide me why, because of these rules that the other lawyers from the Attorney General's office are stating why this shouldn't be thrown out of the courthouse, the Zukoski Court." This happened back in November, got filed in September, so it got tacked probably about 30 days, not quite 30 days after they started tacking it, right when we were going to move it. So I stopped. Her name was Kendra Coates then, who was acting as the justice. I wrote to her saying, "Excuse me, Kendra, who are you? Right? This is not your property. Have you been assigned to the Zukoski Court? Because if you have, then you're basically administrating property without right." Right? Excuse me for a second. I got to give my camera back here.
Yeah, they're primed for a bar grievance too. The ones in the Zukoski Court.
Totally.
All these
That's
things-
the next level that I was going to be going to here, because ultimately what happened is that when these two judges, now as soon as she got served, we filed a second claim, went up to the Chief Justice of Canada, the Chief Justice of Ontario on December the 22nd. Okay, they acquiesced as well. They got 3 notices. We required of them, produce the evidence that you relied that the rules of civil procedure apply to we the people. End of story. So when they acquiesced, right, they've all basically, they're guilty by default here, what's going on. When they acquiesce, as I tell people, that's as good as gold in court, because they're basically saying, yep, you're correct. They're agreeing with your claim that you've made forward. So when they didn't do it, and then as soon as that got put back on the, how should we say, Kendra Coates there at the Milton Courthouse, well, she got served that second one where she was now being filed against. The first court case, she was not one of the 2 justices or any of the lawyers. But then when she got assigned to the case or took it over in her own right, so to speak, at the public courthouse, as soon as she started trespassing on the case and then we moved a claim against her, oh, she didn't like that. 2 days later, that's when she got vindictive, and she assigned all the lawyers that were involved in it to put in their fees, what they've accumulated now, and she's going to hold Michael and I now liable. She took our lawful filing, and then they totally rewrote it and converted it into a legal filing, a complete new jurisdiction, forged instrument they placed into the public, right? Same thing again. And they just can't help but fall over themselves. So what's happened now, what I'm going to show you here is that this has gone out to the Chief of Police of Halton and Burlington, where I am, and also the OPP at the provincial level. Why? Halton controls the court services at the Milton Courthouse. He's the chief of police, so he's ultimately responsible for his men there. But we know there's going to be a conflict of interest there because they have a relationship with that court. So I went to the other higher up in their world of the commissioner of the OPP. So now they've both been given communications, and we're outing these people that they have trespassed and they have blocked we people the right to the courthouse based on the rules of civil procedure. So this is what I want everyone. I'm going to give you. I didn't do this last night, but I want to give everybody here this tonight. Okay. These are the communications, people. This is where you can send your emails, okay? And put in the heading, the rules of civil procedure do not apply to we the people. And then say, greetings, Stephen and Thomas. Copy them on the same email. We are aware of the Zukoski Court, all right? That has been, and you can find that case file on my website, www.warriorcalls.com. Say that we are aware of the Zukoski Court and that we the people are being blocked from our right to access our public courthouses. We require of you, as your duty, to protect this claim and see that the process is moved forward and corrected. Something simple like that. please write to the OPP commissioner. His name's Thomas. You've got all the information there. I'll leave it on the screen for a sec so you can grab it, and we'll probably put it up on the website as well, too, for people to grab it. But that's what I want you to write to, people. Okay, on mass, we've got 448 people here. If I could get half of you, even half of you, to take 2 minutes and write an email to these people and let them know that we are aware of the rules of civil procedure and that we, the people, are being blocked at the Milton Courthouse, and we require your assistance at this time to correct the record. Okay, something simple like that. Kind regards. No threats you make to them. You want to make them aware that you know. So imagine, I wish to God we had, 5,000 or 10,000 people on the stream. Eventually it will get to there. But imagine when we can use this vehicle now, when they trespass against us, Alfonso, that we've got this collective group of people that are working with us, then they can start firing communications off to these people as well, putting them on notice from the public.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That's going to really help them. And that's going to really help us. That's going to be very powerful. So there it is there, people. There's the email addresses who you write to, Stephen and Thomas at the same time. So look, Alphonse, this has been a wonderful discussion tonight. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing this information. And then the next time I bring you on, maybe we'll go through one of your case files. We can actually, there it goes. Got to cut 2 seconds.
That'd be great. I mean, I'm looking forward to working together. And like I said, I think we're going to have fun with your letter there. I think we can do a lot with
it's
that.
all shits and giggles. I laughed about it. So, like I say, everything happens for a reason. I was just thinking of Paul and them. They've been telling me about you for the last several months. It's like, I've got to find the time here to get Alfonso on. But all my casework, like when people saw the stream I did last night, it was just jam-packed with just my own stuff. And then when this came through last night, I thought, you know what a great time to have Alphonse come on, because now we can actually show people. We'll work at this together and some other ones too, and we'll see how we can let the rubber hit the road and help our fellow man fight back.
Chris, one quick story before we go, just to show for your people and my people, to show how powerful one man can be. Okay. If you guys are paying attention to what's going on over here, Texas is a big state over here. They dropped the mask mandates. And as soon as Texas dropped them, a bunch of other states followed suit. Okay. Here's what people don't understand, that the governor didn't wake up one day and say, I think I'm going to follow the law. I'm going to start following the law. Here's what happened. One man in Texas named Randy Kelton, and he put his complaint up there on his website. He filed criminal complaints against Governor Abbott. Okay. Actual criminal complaints. And politics sometimes help us. I don't discuss politics. I don't care. I don't believe in any of that. I'm not into any of that stuff. They're not my leaders. They're not, but politics sometimes helps us, because what happened in this suit, Abbott's a Republican, and I believe the district attorney was a Democrat that had lost their office, so they were on the way out. They had nothing to lose. So Kelton's criminal complaints land in the district attorney's lap, and the district attorney wants to take a shot at the Republican governor on the way out. So he takes Kelton's criminal complaints, and he hands them over to the grand jury. Over here, the grand jury is basically the fourth branch of government. Nobody controls them. They're a group of citizens that basically they can indict whoever they want to indict. If I could get my complaints in the hand of the grand jury foreman, I don't need to go through the district attorney, through the attorney general, but they sort of hide the grand jury from us. I never know where they're at, okay? Right. You'd have to wait out to get them. So in this instance, the district attorney, to take the shot at the Republican governor, he turned over criminal complaints to the grand jury. So now you have a governor who was in danger of being indicted. Lo and behold, wakes up one day, I think I'm going to do away with these mask mandates. And then all the other states, a lot of other states started doing it. That's because the governors talk. Mr. Governor picked up the phone and said, this crazy guy Kelton's got criminal complaints before the grand jury. I could get indicted. So that's one man that did that, who took a strategy. One man got criminal complaints before a grand jury and had made huge waves in other states. So don't think we have to have all these people. It's just, you just got to think, be creative and think. It doesn't take too much. You just got to act, though. You got to step forward and act. Stop playing defense like this. We're always doing this, Chris. We're always like blocking punches. Go on the offense. Start running at them like the Matrix, Neo in the Matrix. Run at Agent Smith. Yep. Don't block. Don't defend. Run at them.
That's the only way, brother. Like I said, that's why I got fed up with it for so many years. I said, enough of this. I'm going to start moving claims in courts against them, because that's the only way we're going to show people that they're trespassing against us, blocking our God-given right to access that public courthouse. It's not a private courthouse. So, this has been fantastic tonight to speak with you, and my camera's been somewhat, or the system's been somewhat comparable. I've still been having to click it off, but you're a great host, you're a great guest, Alphonse, and I would love to have you back on here. We'll start doing this regularly every couple of weeks. Come on. we'll start sharing people. We'll educate them. We'll do a dual show here because I think it's important that we show everybody the full spectrum of what's going on, and whatever can work for them, I'm all for it. That's the most important thing.
Anytime.
So I love you to death, brother. Thank you for all that you do. Give everyone your website where they can find your information.
Sure. Just go to IamHasSentMeToYou.com, and upper right, you'll see a document section. Just click there. And here's the funny part. I was distributing the documents through WooCommerce earlier, and the numbers you see for downloads is about 1/10 of what was actually downloaded because I had to switch to document distribution. And there's some documents that are downloaded there like 1,500 times, one document. Well, times that by 10. So that's how many people are actually starting to do this stuff now.
Good.
You have to take action. So go there, jump on. You got a great Telegram group. You got a bunch of guys, great guys doing your Telegram group. Jump on ours. If you got any questions, jump on or ask questions. You know, we try and help each other. Like I said, I don't care if you do it or I do it. I want to take them guys down. You know, I want to bring you into the nonsense, you know?
Yeah. And that's the most important thing is that they see people doing it. They see people. That's why I love what you do. I love what Michael Sukleski's done, the people at Mayan, Mac Pahar, Tammy and Tiffany out there. You know, Adam's Barbecue, if you saw him from last week, he basically took over my show because of the camera work that was going on. He's a great guy, but he's a smart guy and he's learning this stuff on the fly. That's why I love him. He's a street smart guy. And he gets it, and he listens, and he doesn't judge anybody. He absorbs things, and now he's actually seeing what's going on. And like I said, this is going to really come to a head with all this corruption, with these court cases that are going on, and that's going to be the light for this world that it needs right now. So I'm proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with you, Alphonse, because it's so important. Our time has come.
Ditto, Chris. Ditto.
Yep. Well, thanks a million, brother. And Paul, if you want, just take us both out again. And for everybody, thank you very much for being here. It's a pleasure to see you again, Alphonse, and we'll bring you on next week. And God bless everybody. Love you lots, and we'll see you again on Monday.
And I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You've come to fight as free men. And free men you are. What will you do with that freedom? Will you fight? Fight against that? No! We will run. And we will live. Aye. Fight and you may die. Run. And you'll live. At least a while. And dying in your beds, many years from now, would you be willing to trade all the days from this day to that for one chance, just one chance, to come back here and tell our enemies that they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom! Fine speech. Now what do we do?
Just be yourselves.
Where are you going?
I'm going to pick a fight.
Well, we didn't get dressed up for nothing.